Today's video is brought to you by Skillshare. It's been over 2 months since DJI invited me to their release event for the Mavic 2 drones, and like most people, I had that decision. Am I going to get the Pro or the Zoom? And I decided to get the Pro. I used the Mavic Pro for a very long time and it was my favorite drone. I just wanted a quality increase and I got exactly that with this new update, more so than the gimmick of being able to zoom in. And I've been so happy with this drone. I've taken it all over and I'm going to go through all of the footage from the past 2 months with travel vlogs and traveling to different cities and countries and kind of break down my thoughts and what I captured. When I first got the drone, I just expected its 4K HQ video recording mode to be what I wanted. So I just picked that and shot everything. And as you start to see, yes, all of my footage is cropped in, and that's going to definitely be a theme throughout the first half of this video. Stick with me though. I of course was excited to try the new hyperlapse mode in all different ways. I tried it up high and then compared that to shooting low, where I had objects right close and far. This was the first camera that I had that could tilt up a couple degrees. So I thought it might be interesting to try to give like a vertical parallaxing effect. I don't know what you call this, but I thought it was cool. Coming from the Mavic Air, I immediately noticed that the communications were just better. I don't know how to describe it in scientific terms, but I almost never lose connection with this. Maybe I'm just becoming a better flyer and always getting up somewhere high to have good line of sight for my receiver, but this almost never drops connection. It's so good. I snuck up to Central Park to shoot a hyperlapse, and once again, it's cropped in. Like, I think all the footage looks better on its wide FOV. So I wish I knew. I just didn't know that I was shooting cropped in this entire time. And I also realized that the hyperlapses were exporting building in 1080p, which I expected them to be 4K because we can shoot 4K, but I guess it's just a processing limit. I guess. I wish it was higher quality. And when I shoot with any camera, I'm always using the default setting for color, saturation, etc. So this is just straight out of camera default color. And I think this allows me to really focus in on trying to find dynamic light, shadows, subjects being illuminated at different moments, and then also, you know, the depth of field, the composition. I'm trying to think three-dimensionally. Cloudy days that show the blue sky but have puffy white clouds, and then just a little ray of sun that's illuminating part of the lower Manhattan here, and then the Empire State Building. I thought this looked great. I'm still trying to figure out the best way to shoot a hyperlapse smooth, because this one is a bit bouncy. I usually apply a stabilization effect to all of my drone shots, but I think this one is just a little bit too crazy to fix. Looks great though with the clouds and shadows, right? My next trip was to Gothenburg, Sweden on a shoot for Volvo, and this was my first time taking the drone international. A lot of people ask me about airports, and I've never had a problem. I've never had anyone take it out, ask questions, or give me any problems. I do know there are a couple countries that are going to take your drone, like Morocco. I'm sure you could find that list online, so double check, but I've never had a problem flying with my drone. Right before I left for this trip, I bought an extra battery. These things are massive and awesome. They're like, I think up to 25, 26 minutes of battery life, and they just seem so more robust and powerful than ever before, especially when I'm hiking or going somewhere where I can't charge on remotely. I guess I should get a third. I might get it, but I'm a minimalist. I can't be carrying too many things, right? I didn't have too much time in the city, so whenever I walked around sightseeing or just going from A to B, I had the drone with me. and I would capture what I could. The weather was kind of partly cloudy, partly sunny every so often, so it wasn't ideal, and I was still learning what the image looked like on my screen while flying compared to editing in Final Cut, because you have to know the difference. You can't just trust the auto exposure. I usually shoot everything drone-wise in manual mode, just to dial in exactly what I want. This was the first time that I tried a hyperlapse going horizontal with some kind of camera move during the execution, instead of just going forward and doing that type of hyperlapse. And this worked really well, and I think this is the way that I should be doing hyperlapses, especially when you have motion of cars and boats moving around. I thought this looked really good. My next trip was in Colorado with Curtis. We were going on some hikes, and this would be the first time that I was in the wilderness with the drone, which is always more relaxing and especially fun if you get to the top of a mountain, because then you're much higher than you ever were before. Curtis, of course, still had his Spark, which I gave him. Like I said, I've had every single drone, and I've usually given them away or sold them as soon as the new one came out. We camped halfway up the mountain, and I had no way to charge my batteries, so I tried to keep them as full as possible. Once again, I didn't know that I was shooting in like a cropped in mode, and it was just like bothering me, and I was so frustrated because I knew like the type of footage I could get with other drones up in this situation, so I was just getting frustrated, especially with these flyaway droney shots. I had to shoot a bunch of times because I just couldn't get any of them to work. I was extremely frustrated. And yeah, I still got some cool shots, but I just know it could have been so much better if I knew that there was a wide mode. Ugh, so dumb. Back in Colorado Springs, charged the batteries up, shot from his apartment, and then also shot a what's in my bag video and shot this cool overhead shot to get photos and the opening image. It worked okay. I wish I wasn't in the grass, but it was okay. During the rest of my time in Colorado Springs, we went for a couple of different runs, and I'll give it to my brother for putting up with me droning every moment I can and bothering him with the drone. I even made him run down a trail as I tried to follow him overhead. And then on our second hike, I tried to follow the car with the drone, and that's always difficult, especially if you don't set your home point to where the controller is. The home point is where you take off, and when you start driving, you have no idea where anything is. And if the drone lost battery and went back home, it would be far from where you've been driving. And yes, I was becoming more and more frustrated at only shooting cropped in. I still had not discovered the wide mode. It took me a while to shoot this droney that went out and then all the way around. If I had more time and batteries, I probably could have made it much smoother and better, more interesting. But this was all manual flying. I didn't use any intelligent flight modes, but that's something that I've been using more and more. And I think it helps when you know the right moment to use them. Okay, back in New York, finally realized that there's another setting with this drone and unleashed the wide. I was so excited to finally see the images that I was expecting for the first time after probably a month of shooting with the drone. And damn, it looked good. I love this footage. I liked the drone before, but after realizing the wide mode, this is my absolute favorite drone of all time. Next, I made my way out to LA and of course had to shoot some of the fancy homes up on the hills. And I'm always blown away at how much light direction from the sun affects the color of the image. So you see the color popping in all of these, but when I turn it so that everything's backlit, it almost looks black and white, but I didn't change any color mode. I only changed the exposure, but I think this is a cool shot. Very interesting to me. From Los Angeles, we went to Portland and we went up to Mount Hood, which was fun to drone. And I absolutely messed up shooting the lodge, which was used for the exteriors in the Shining movie. I did that old thing where you press record when you are already recording. So I got the opposite of what I wanted. I was recording and then I'm like, okay, I want to start recording. I press record and it stops. So this. I'm an idiot. I'm always making mistakes. Always. It was peak fall in Portland and I loved it. We eventually made our way out to a wedding in Kansas. This was the first time that I've been in Kansas. I was expecting cornfields, interstellar looking things, but no, it was actually quite hilly and wooded. But once again, I had plenty of space to fly, no one to bother me, and we had a cool Airbnb with this lawn and pond and mansion. Pretty sure the drone pissed off some seagulls, so they started to swoop near the drone, and I was able to shoot up to get just pure sky and the seagulls, so that was interesting to me. I was a guest at the wedding, but of course I had to shoot and drone, so I did. I put the drone up after the ceremony, and the light was only hitting the tops of trees and the buildings, so none of what I wanted to be exposed in light was there. And of course I had to expose for the brightest part in the frame, and it just didn't look good. It was really challenging to shoot. I wish I put the drone up earlier. And lastly, I took a trip upstate to Rochester, New York, which is where I am right now, my family's home. And there are still a couple trees that have vibrant orange colors, which was really nice to drone. And I even took a hike out into the perfect spot in the woods, found a little clearing, and then did a droney looking down while I flew up. I think it turned out really well. And my nieces and nephews loved the drone. I put it into sport mode, and then I'd fly around to different windows while they ran around the house trying to figure out where it was. It was really fun.
Helpful drone classes on Skillshare.
This video is sponsored by Skillshare, an online learning community with thousands of classes. I strongly believe that filmmakers today can skip traditional college if they find a mentor, create every day, and take online classes. Annual premium membership is less than $10 a month and gives you unlimited access to high quality classes from experts working in their fields so that you can improve your skills, unlock new opportunities, and do the work you love. Visit the link in the description to sign up. And I've actually been thinking about making my own class on Skillshare, so let me know what topics you'd like me to cover. And of course, if you're taking any classes, let me know. I'd love to share that. So I guess this is my review. I don't need to go over the specifics. Like, you can just read those on the website wherever you're buying it. Like I said, this is my favorite drone to date. The sensors, I think, are 360, so if you have those on, you're not crashing this thing. It's going to be almost difficult to do so. I've never crashed. I'd love flying. I want to fly with respect, and I want to do it the right way, which I haven't been doing. So I'm actually studying for my 107 to get a permit to actually fly this thing. And that's all new to me. I'm learning about how to be a good official drone pilot. So let me know if you have any advice. I'm going to take the test, and I'm going to make a video all about that.